All right, friends, we're back for your favorite podcast of the week. It's Location Weekly. This is episode number 671, and we are recording on May the 29th. Aubriana, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Just trying to crank through a few things before I head off to Asia next week for the NRF event in Singapore. But yeah, lots going on, just busy times, a lot of events, a lot of clients, a lot of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like, the summer's approaching quickly. Kids are getting out of school, and then there's conference after conference. So, we just got back from a long weekend here with Memorial Day just passing.
Yeah.
So remembering all those who, fought and fell for our country. But so nice to have a shorter work week, but now we're just like cramming it all in. So I think it's busy times. You hope that it slows down this time of year, but it just doesn't.
No, no, not at all. All right, well, we have four stories we want to cover for you this week. So we'll just jump right into it and let Aubriana start us off.
All right, well, let's start in Germany, where Schindler has deployed a new projection ad format on elevator doors within hotel rooms. So there's this the offering is called Door Show, which I think is great, naming. But the Swiss elevator manufacturer Schindler is creating what they're calling the Schindler Media Network. So we are seeing another media network take place. So think about all those elevator doors that are Schindler. Now they can use that as real estate as well. I'm sure that it has a little kickback that goes to the property owners. But it includes large format displays inside of elevator cabs as well as on the walls. So just think of like a projector that's mounted to the hotel's guest elevator that's like on the elevator doors while you're waiting for it. You've got, I would say, obviously like capture and time, and that people are waiting as there's a button that you have to press while you're waiting. So I think that this is really interesting, and making good use of that real estate. I like the idea. And the example that I saw was actually more of like a quiz. So it was a little bit, and not necessarily interactive, but kind of getting people to engage with it, which I thought was really thoughtful, in terms of what that clientele is going to be like, who's standing in front of that elevator door, possibly looking for, a place to go eat or a place to go shop or a place to go sightseeing. So I think this is really applicable, and I like this idea. I think this is something that can definitely be rolled out. Now, my question is, are all hotels with, in the hospitality industry, a lot of times they have kind of a vibe that they're going for. Is this going to fit that hotel vibe that they're looking for, or is this something that's a little bit outside of it? So that's my 2 cents on that. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it as well. I think it's interesting, it's innovative. It reminds me of, when we see all those I think it's called cooler screens, those ads on the drink coolers in, 7-Elevens and those kinds of things. Just apply it in a different way with projection on elevator doors. I think it's really a great idea in terms of capturing, the dwell time of people that are there waiting once they push those buttons. So I think you have a captive audience available to you. Obviously, there are other, like companies like Elevator News Network that have been running those screens, with live feeds of CNN or whatever, those kinds of things in the elevators. But this is different because I think the format is bigger. I think it's I like the content example you gave with the interactivity of it in terms of, quizzes and games and those kinds of things, kind of like what you see in the taxi cabs. So I think there's a lot of opportunity with this, and I think we'll see more elevator companies and brands take advantage of these kinds of things. So and hotels are a great place to start. So yeah.
All
All
right.
right, on to our second story now. So we're gonna talk about a company called Geo Coupons or Coupons, I should say. It's literally spelled GEO letter QPONS. For those who want to look it up. So this is a smartphone app, iOS and Android. They've reached over 4 million active shoppers on these mobile devices now. They say that they have, most of the time during shopping seasons, over 100,000 coupons, representing over 10 million index products from top names in fashion, retail, and electronics. It's been a while since we've talked about, sort of couponing apps, right? Like it used to be, things like Retail Me Not and apps like that, we would cover a lot in the show. And it's, this kind of stood out to me this week when I was looking because, I was like, oh, are people still using these types of apps? And obviously they are. If there's 4 million people who are now actively using this. So I think it's interesting. There's a location component to it as well. So they use GPS within the app and some other location technologies to help you find coupons and deals, that are nearby to businesses near you. Or maybe you're in the actual retail environment and you can check to see what coupons are available for that particular brand as you're physically there. So I think there's some interesting, components to this, and not a lot more to say about it. If you're not familiar with the company, they are part of XY Mob. So they're based in California. So there's a few other businesses within that portfolio, but I think it's an interesting one. I don't, I wouldn't call this rocket science. I mean, there's been a lot of, couponing apps out there, but I like their reach. I like, the location elements to it, and obviously, they're growing quickly to get to that kind of volume of subscribers. Thoughts?
Yeah, for me, I think this is just like a good opportunity for a merger acquisition. So if you can maybe bake this into something that has much broader reach, I think that it's an attractive feature, right? Like I don't think it's a standalone, but I think it's an attractive feature. And to your point, I was wondering, like, are people still couponing? And I scrolled through on, I was TikTok or Instagram, and it was talking about how I bought all these things, toilet paper and laundry detergent, all these things for 5 cents at CVS. And I'm like, I guess they still are. But that's a whole like that's a whole like brain surgery type of degree that you need in order to know how do you like get these coupons and this, and you have to go back at this time, and like I don't know who has time for that. God bless them. Like that's amazing. But I think that if it's like easy, it's relevant, and it's something that you're in the market for already, like that's the kind of coupons I'm interested in. So I might have to check out Geo coupons and see.
Coupons. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go over to more of a data-centric story, and this is Retelligence. And Retelligence is an online to offline marketing platform. They're focused on driving sales to in-store specifically, and now they have something that they've launched called Ad Pop Engine, and they are bringing location data across 12 million different products. So think of different SKUs or CPG, and they announced the release of this ad pop engine just now. So basically, it's going to enable digital advertising companies to easily integrate with their database, Retelligence's database of local POP or point of purchase retail inventory and pricing data for about 12 million products, and that's going to be across 100,000 or so US retail locations. So we're not talking about super small numbers here. This is enough, I think, for impact. So they'll be able to use this data into advertising campaigns for brands and retailers, and then retailers can create this dynamic advertising messaging and units that will be automatically customized with the products that are located in stores nearby. So that could be across like pricing, location, all those different things could be integrated and customized and contextualized, I should say, based on where somebody is seeing this ad from, which is pretty cool. So there's a few top video and mobile ad companies that are already using this, and they're using this data in live campaigns, and it will complement their solution for CPG brands and extending that capability via channel partners. So they're using it. Now they're providing an API, which is really great. So you can just like tap into that API into programmatic advertising and then deliver that location-based user experience through mobile and other mediums, right? So some of the examples of companies that are using these include, let's see, Ad Colony, Medialets, Point Trimmer, and Xtopoly. So you kind of think about like all of that going out, and Retelligence as the platform sitting in the middle of that. So look, I think that in the time and place that commerce media, retail media, commerce media, travel media networks like is all the rage, this is a really smart play by Retelligence. And so they're saying, hey, maybe we're not going to be able to integrate with the media networks with that level of data, but we can integrate with the point of purchase data, right? And so I think they're kind of bypassing that, which is really smart. Now, I don't know if this is going to work at scale across every retailer and every point of purchase, but I think that this is a great step and an alternative, into tapping into individually all of those media networks for, a DSP or even a brand or an agency. So I think this is a timely announcement in my mind. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to add a lot to this because I think you've covered it so well. But yeah, I think there's a lot of power in this data, and I remember, way back when, the Retelligence has been around for some time, and was active, with LBMA conferences and things way back. And one of the things I've always bought into with these guys is, if you have access to real-time inventory data on products, and kind of bringing this back to the couponing, discussion that we just had, like, this idea of, here's an offer, and this is something, I've been looking for, like, that pair of jeans or that jacket or whatever, you know, it's great when you get that offer, and if it's something that you've been, sort of waiting to buy. But then if you show up at the store and it's out of stock, like, that's gone from a good experience to a bad experience, right? And so, this is where having access to localized, inventory information and data becomes something incredibly relevant, so that you can actually drive sales of products that are in stock, or move things that, might be, that, like, discounted right now because you want them gone, as a retailer, or those kinds of things, that you can do with this kind of data. So I think there's a lot of power in it, and potential in this, and now how they're kind of layering this in to these different environments, on the programmatic side, I think makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and I think to your point, there's so much opportunity for that to be a better experience. You don't know how many times I get served an ad like on Instagram for a clothing item, and as soon as I click to shop, like go to shop, and we're talking about major mega retailers here, they're like, "Oh, it's sold out." So why are you showing me an ad for something that's already sold out? Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense to me. So I think that there's so much opportunity for that contextual fit to be improved.
Yeah, love it. All right, on to our final story. So we're going to talk about TikTok for a minute. So there's an account on TikTok. I wasn't aware of this. I just became aware of it, in, looking at these stories for this week, called Globe Trots. That's one word, Globe Trots. And so it's kind of a unique thing where they combine Google Earth with text to speech data. And what they do is they show these top 10 lists, with statistics, that kind of, highlight different sort of topics. Some are political, some are, not. So they have things like, what cities in the UK have the most people on, welfare benefits, or, which universities have the worst campuses, or like these kinds of things. So there's a geo element to it. And then there's this kind of sort of content exposition element to it, and they layer in text to speech, and now they're starting to combine, yeah, music into it with TikTok's AI song features, and they've gained like a huge following, and on this, and I think it's just kind of something that I thought people should check out as a sort of interesting, innovative way to combine, sort of Google Earth and that type of mapping technology with something social like TikTok and content creation. So, nothing more than that. I found it fascinating. I wanted to share. Any thoughts from you?
No, I like this. I think that it's a genius idea it's hard to come up with creative ideas for a social account these days, and I think that they nailed it. So kudos to them. And the location element. I mean, very cool.
Very cool. All right, well, that's our show for this week. You've been listening and watching episode number 671 of Location Weekly. We thank you so much for your time. Please reach out if you have story ideas. We'd love to hear from you. I will be in Asia the next 2 weeks, and along with our good friend and my co-president, Karsten, of the LBMA. And so we will be bringing you some shows from over that side of the world. So, but until then, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye.